Hello and welcome to the Bioactive Nexus. You see my buddy there, Bill, laughing because this has been a challenging episode thus far. We have had technical difficulties with our software and our connectivity, but we are here today, and it's a very special episode. It's different from the normal ones. First, let me tell you the title. The title is The Coming Supplement Shakeout: How Science Will Decide the Winners. And what's different about today's episode is typically Bill and I have a discussion about something, or we have guests and we have discussion about stuff with them. But today, I'm going to be interviewing Bill and about what is, to my mind, a very vital issue. You may have heard us talk about NutriSelect.ai and why it's so important. And to my mind, why this particular app is so important is it helps to get rid of the bad players. It helps people to understand what's real and what's not in the supplement world by identifying, coordinating claims with actual science and saying, okay, yeah, this product is real, or subsequently, doesn't have any data to show that it's real. So it's vital more than ever that we have this kind of app in order to help people and to help our industry, which I think needs it. This is inside information from two industry veterans and who've seen what's been going on for years and seen what is necessary to move it forward in a very positive way. So, Bill, you have been at the forefront of supplement innovation for more than 25 years. But what's happening now is different. So let's talk about why.
Sounds great, man. Let's do it.
Okay, so here's my first question. What is broken in the supplement industry today? And why should brands be concerned about the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, happy to be here, Gene, and to really showcase this new program that we're going to talk about. We'll introduce it here in just a moment. But, we both know we've been in this industry for decades, and there are a lot of things that are broken about it. And some things have evolved and gotten better, but we still have some of the same old problems. So one, I'd say the number one thing that's why it's broken is that we have declining consumer trust. And that's simply because it's nobody's fault, really. It's just the way it's set up in the U.S. market. And we're talking about just the U.S. market, but you also have the same challenges in other markets, I've found. But in the U.S. especially, the regulation hurdle to get into the market is relatively low. The barrier to entry to the market is pretty low. And because of that, that's good and bad. That's good for businesses who want to jump into this multi-billion-dollar industry. But also it's bad because it creates opportunities for the so-called bad actors, we call it. So because of that, there are thousands of products, 100,000 products maybe in the U.S. market alone. That makes it very difficult for consumers to find the supplements that really have the science to back their claims and actually work for them. And so also there's conflicting health claims, right? There's a lot of brands, we know this, right? There's a lot of brands that kind of skew their claims to kind of fit pseudoscience or whatever, but they don't really have any true science on their products. And there's really a lack of standardized product evaluation. There isn't really any sort of program that can or any way to standardize this in terms of the efficacy of products.
You're right, Bill. And I just got to add, so many times I've heard the statement that, this supplement isn't FDA approved. Or I've conversely heard people say, our supplement is FDA approved. Well, you know what? There is no existing process by which any supplement can be sent to the FDA for review and subsequent approval. That doesn't exist. So to your point, there isn't a standardized process like there is for drugs. It just simply doesn't exist. There are regulations that say, here's what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
But not everybody is doing.
Right. And also the other point of why it's broken is, look, we have more regulatory attention. We see a lot more even today, right? We've seen this for decades, right? Where we have supplements go out there and make certain claims or whatever. It's one thing if they don't meet label claim or something like that. That's one sort of problem. But people making disease claims or bordering on that when they don't have any science to back it is a problem. Now you're going to see an increase in this is my prediction. We're going to see an increase, especially with the advances in AI technology, and I'm going to jump into that in a second. But the advances in technology are going to allow regulators to more aggressively enforce these bad actors and stuff. So that's coming. But this is the coming role of AI in this technology. It's not going away. It's going to impact every industry. And that's why I came up with the approach with NutriSelect and its N-score rating system, because I wanted to create an objective, transparent, science-driven program or app that would actually return real scores on products, not based on a pay-for-play sort of scenario, or an influencer, right, that claims that this product does it right. We've seen a lot of that too.
Yeah, too many. I have too many of those.
So this is putting the power back in the hands of consumers. So that's what we're going to target to fix, and NutriSelect is going to do.
Yeah. So that being the case, and of course it's a NutriSelect is something I'm very much behind, which is why I'm on the scientific advisory board for it. But that being said, what's going to happen to brands out there who don't get ahead of this shift, this whole NutriSelect shift, showing what's real and what's not?
Yeah. So NutriSelect is not going to be the first, but we're going to be the pioneers leading this charge in terms of doing that. And we're going to leverage the current technology to do that. But here's the risk for brands. Many are going to get exposed. So let's say there's particular brands out there who are making certain claims or whatever, and they get run through our algorithm and our platform, which is patent pending, by the way, and actually don't get a very good score on some of their products, maybe, right? That's going to be very transparent, because again, my goal is here to put this tool back in the hands of consumers to empower them, so they have to spend hours in trial and error taking products and searching to try and find quotes, science-based products. So marketing alone is not going to cut it anymore. And this is a rampant problem we have within our industry. We know this. There's a lot of, if you've got the marketing ad budget to go make really strong claims and spend a lot of money there, and there's a lot of brands that do this, this is going to cut through all that noise there. It's going to give the real transparency back to consumers so they can find those actual brands that are going to do something for them. The other thing is that any brands that have weak or no clinical backing, they're going to lose visibility in sales. So whether it's from NutriSelect or others who are going to follow in our footsteps or what we're going to do, we're going to see a dramatic change in the industry for sure. And only the early movers or the brands that really get this, that have some vision for that, are going to be the ones that we're going to partner with or going to feature, and they'll be the trusted brands that consumers are going to buy.
Makes a great deal of sense. All right. So let me ask you this. Tell me a little bit about, can you tell us about this new accelerator program that you've put together, okay? Tell us about what it is.
Well, before we get to that, Gene, we probably should talk about what is the opportunity for the early movers. Remember, we said we wanted early movers to join in.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit, Bill. Why don't you jump into that for a moment or two?
Yeah. So those brands that do see the vision and do jump on board are obviously going to be able to build science into their product positioning. This is number one, right? They'll be able to strengthen their claims with research.
Yes.
As we know, there's a lot of brands sitting on the fence. And I know this from working with some of our CRO partners. We're building a CRO consortium of contract research organizations who are partnering with NutriSelect because we have the same goal in mind. We want advanced evidence-based supplementation. So those brands that are still sitting on the fence today, And again, there's no requirement by regulation to do the science, but it is the right thing to do. But this is going to force brands that are going to need to do the science if they're going to really do that. So the early movers that get that are the ones that are really going to benefit from the change. And also prepares them for the scoring systems that are going to, and how their products are going to rank when we launch the app next year. And that's why we're introducing the NutriSelect Brand Science Accelerator program.
So the way they can prepare for this, then, it sounds like there's a couple of possible ways. You talked about the CROs that are partnering with us. So one way, certainly, and let's call it the gold standard, is to take their product and do a clinical trial demonstrating that their product works for the purpose intended. And, that's something that you can even help to guide them on and connect them with the right CROs and coordinate something like that. But while that's the gold standard, there is I don't know what you call it, silver standard, where
Yeah.
somebody could say, okay, I haven't done a study on my finished product, but I can choose to use those nutraceuticals in my formula that have already had studies for them, use those same nutraceuticals, use the same clinical dose shown in the studies to be effective, and create a science-based formula on that level. Again, while not as good as a study on your final formula, it's still really good and can help to support claims. So that's another way to do it, but not everybody even knows how to go about doing that properly.
Yeah. So you raise a good point, and we talk about this within the industry, but it's really pretty subjective when we're looking at when you and I are as scientists, we're reading clinical research papers. Even clinical studies are designed poorly as well. So, there's a lot of variables in this so-called matrix of evaluating efficacy of a product. Well, that's what we'll leverage the technology to get to. So. Just to give you a preview of that, the app will work in a way, the N score will work in a way of kind of a tiered structure, like a gold, silver, and bronze level. And it kind of goes to your point. So obviously, product brands that have maybe clinical research studies on their finished product as a whole, and it's in combination of maybe using ingredients that have clinical research, right? They're going to be probably in that gold tier level, most likely, right? But there could be some silver tiered level brands that do have some science, but that also will allow them to identify where the gaps are to how they can elevate wherever they are in that spectrum to do that. And that's the purpose of the Brand Science Accelerator, is to help those brands identify those gaps in their current product portfolio, or maybe any new innovations they want to bring to market to do that.
So in essence, if you would have scored in the bronze, through the accelerator program, you could find out how, what your gaps are, how to get you from bronze to silver, or maybe even just from bronze to gold. And if you're at silver, how to get you from silver to gold, so that you get the best possible score. Again, you can't, like you say, it's not pay for play. You can't just pay some money and get it. You have to do the science. You have to do that work. But
exactly,
you can help them and help to guide them and help to shuttle them along the pathway that gets them there. And in doing so, it improves the product and the science for everybody. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yep, that's true. And the idea is to improve the industry as a whole. So, let me tell you a little bit more about the Accelerator program and what it's for and who it's for and why we designed that. Okay, so this first cohort, and by the way, we use the term accelerator, and the reason I chose that was that I'm also fundraising at the same time, and I've been approached by investment firms that have accelerator programs. And this is what they do. They identify companies they want to bring in that first cohort, and they do it in a set time frame. They only let so many companies in that first each cohort that they do every year, and it's once a year they do that. So we're taking a similar approach. It's obviously to that sort of model, and that is that we're looking for 5 companies in this first cohort, and it's prior to the launch of the app next year. So they have an advantage of getting some really good preliminary data about their products by us doing an audit of their products, or maybe they want to just check out one of their flagship products. Maybe they will look at their whole line. It depends on the company where they are. It's a 12-month engagement. What we'll do from that, and there's a series of criteria that we'll do, is we'll audit where they are. We'll look at an innovation roadmap and claim strategy. We'll look at clinical research planning and execution. And those companies who come on, especially in this first cohort, are going to be preferred partner sort of status. And again, we're limited to have 5 brands. We're not taking on any more than that at this stage because we're still in the development phase of the app, but we can also work with these companies to be the first partners that we're going to advertise and say, hey, here's the first brands that are gone through our first Science Accelerator program, Brand Science Accelerator program, right? And again, really important to understand the distinction. You already said it, and I said it earlier. It's not a pay for play. So I had always envisioned that brands would approach us and say, hey, how do I get a better rating on my product? It scored 62%. It's below bronze, right? How am I going to get a better score? Can I just pay you for that? No, this is not a pay for play. And by the way, I should also say too, Gene, we're going to be gathering tons and tons of data using our algorithm and screening products based on the science alone that are going to identify ratings for certain products. This is for the consumers. Now, are we going to do like what some other companies have done, publish those results and say, hey, so-and-so brand only scored this on their product? No, that's not the goal for NutriSelect. We want to advance the whole industry, right? We want to advance evidence-based supplementation. And this is what consumers want. And this is what our CRO partners want as well. It's a win-win for everybody. It makes the industry better. It makes everybody held accountable to be transparent and no more sitting on the fence. I mean, I'm going to be very frank about it, Gene. If you're sitting on the fence about doing the science behind your products and you're a multi-million-dollar company, and I know they exist out there, well, your days are numbered. You're either going to have to pivot and really do it, or consumers are not going to buy your product. It's not going to be me doing that. So I don't have to go publish this and say, okay, this brand sucks. The consumers won't buy your product. Okay. We want to change the industry.
They'll have the app. They'll look at it and go, oh, look, this thing scored a 40. I don't want this product. It doesn't matter how many people you have on social media, how many influencers saying, oh, look how wonderful this stuff is. And they're all paid to say this. So, I don't know why anybody would believe them anyway, because they're all paid to say it, but what? It'll change a great deal for the better for everybody. And if somebody who's a brand who's not doing it right decides they need to step up to the plate and do it right, fantastic, Yeah. And if they get out of the industry, that's okay too.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not expecting, I don't know what the percentage is and the breakdown. Okay. There are a lot of brands that I know, and I know this from my experience working with M&A Group for Sanofi. We looked at big acquisition targets for the U.S. and we did a lot of screening of product brands for potential acquisition. And when you pull back the curtain, and these are major brands that I can't share their names, but the problem is they're not really they're on the fence. These are the fence sitters, but they're actually doing a pretty solid business. Okay. So again, there's been no push. It's not going to come from Washington, D.C. and from FDA or FTC, right? It's not going to come from any regulator to push companies to do this. Product brands, in my opinion, have had time to understand that this is the trend of where it's going. Look at Radical Science and what they're doing and advancing that. There's a lot of new companies coming up that are engaging with them, right? So this industry is going to change. The writing's on the wall. It's just a matter if you're going to get in there and do that. And NutriSelect can help you do that.
Absolutely. Well, so let's say that we have some brand owners who are listening to this podcast, and they're a little bit interested. They want to be considered. What would be the next step for them?
Pretty easy. And actually, since the announcement last Friday, I've already had 2 inbound requests from companies that want to find out more. So that's the first step. Reach out to me, direct message me on LinkedIn, email me at drbill@NutriSelect.ai, and we'll go through a quick qualification call to see if you qualify for this first cohort. And then, but again, I would not wait to act on that because I have a feeling we're going to fill those slots pretty quick.
Yeah, with just five slots, I think so. Um, okay, so I would just remind everybody that again, there's some urgency to it if you want to be one of the first five. I mean, eventually, time goes
Yeah,
on after it's launched, you may have an opportunity, but I think there's a whole lot of value in being early to the game, being one of the first ones
absolutely.
out there. Um, so that's pretty cool. Well, I think that I just wanted to say on a personal note that again, I think that the NutriSelect AI has the best chance of virtually anything I've ever seen in my 46 years in this business of changing the industry for the better. I'm very excited about what it is. I'm excited to be part of it on the scientific advisory board, and I'm pleased to be interviewing you about the accelerator program. So, thank
Yeah.
you for taking the time to explain this, to answer the questions about it. And again, as a reminder to anybody out there, if you're interested, do direct message Dr. Bill on LinkedIn, or you can email him at drbill@NutriSelect.ai. So again, I want to thank you all for listening and watching the Bioactive Nexus, and stay tuned for a lot of other episodes upcoming, where we're going to talk about all kinds of issues relating to the natural products industry. And if you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe. So thank you all for
That's right.
coming.
Yep. Thanks, Gene, for doing this, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Bye bye.